Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Star Wars Lore, and today's lore episode is about the man who instigated the rule of two for the Sith Order, Darth Bane. A thousand years before the Battle of Yavin, the new Sith Order was born on Ruusan. Keeper of that fire was Darth Bane, the first Dark Lord of the Sith. Born on the planet Apatros, the human male named Dessa would become one of the greatest Sith in the galaxy's long history. His father was an abusive miner named Hurst, who blamed his son for the death of his wife as she had died during childbirth. He referred to Dessel as the bane of his existence, and the name would eventually become Legacy. Dessel followed in his father's footsteps and worked in the Cortosis mines on Apatros. There, he discovered that he was force-sensitive, and after suffering constant abuse at the hands of his father and the other miners, stood up to Hurst and challenged him to combat. Father beat son mercilessly, and that night Dessel envisioned crushing his father's heart. The next morning he found Hurst dead. Over the years, Dessel would best all of his opponents using the dark side of the Force, and eventually he became a fierce fighter. After coming under attack by a Republic officer at the end of a tense sub-arc game, Dessel was smuggled out of the mine to prevent his being caught and imprisoned. He then joined the Brotherhood of Darkness as a soldier and fought in the new Sith Wars, quickly rising to the rank of sergeant in the unit known as Gloomwalkers. The Gloomwalkers soon became one of the most skilled of the Sith's vast army. Dessel's abilities were quickly noticed by the Sith Lord Kopez, who offered to take the young man to Korriban to enroll in the Sith Academy. Dessel accepted and took the name Bane. Bane embraced the ways of the Sith and studied under the Sith Lords Cordus and Kasim. He became a powerful Sith and challenged his fellow students to lightsaber duels regularly. During one such lightsaber duel, he was bested by a Sith named Foharg. Filled with rage, Bane unleashed his anger and killed Foharg with a blast of dark force energy. Cordus was impressed with Bane and kept a close watch on his star pupil. Bane was shaken by the incident, however, and realized he had been responsible for his father's death all those years ago as well. Bane's connection to the dark side began to slip, and the other Sith eventually shunned him. In desperation, Bane studied the Sith archives and came to realize that the Brotherhood of Darkness on Korriban was flawed. He also learned that the Sith leader, Lord Skir Khan, had forbidden any Sith from using the title Darth, as he felt it would encourage the same kind of infighting that had destroyed the Sith thousands of years before. When a Jedi deserter named Githany arrived on Korriban, Bane saw a chance to expand his skills and create a new way of thinking. Githany taught Bane the Force techniques she had learned during her time as a Jedi, and Bane also honed his lightsaber skills with the Blade Master Kasim. Neither teacher was aware of the other, and Bane soon became more powerful than anyone at the Academy. His time in the archives had also given him unparalleled knowledge of ancient Sith techniques. Kasim eventually gave Bane a special lightsaber that belonged to his master, whom Kasim had killed. Bane was then summoned to appear before Lord Cordus, who informed Bane that he was aware Githany had been teaching him and forbade him from continuing his studies in the archives. Bane defied Cordus's wishes and left the Academy and travelled to the Valley of the Dark Lords in search of answers. When he found no Sith spirits in the tombs, he saw that the current Sith were too weak and that Lord Khan had placed the greater good of the Sith over the dark side of the Force. He knew that was why the Sith had never been able to defeat the Jedi. Bane returned to the Academy and discovered that the students there were being promoted to Dark Lords and were to be sent to the planet Ruusan to battle the Jedi and their army of light. Githany told Bane that they were now both Dark Lords and would travel to Ruusan as well, but Bane refused her and planned to travel elsewhere. He denounced Khan's Brotherhood, then confronted Cordus and denounced his old master as well. He then took the title of Darth Bane and left the Brotherhood. He boarded Cordus's personal starship, the Velson, and set course for the unknown regions to further study the dark side. It was on the planet Lehon, in the unknown regions, that Darth Bane discovered a Sith Holocron that had been created by Darth Revan a millennia ago. From the Holocron he learned more about the dark side of the Force than he had ever learned at the Sith Academy. He knew the Brotherhood had to be destroyed in order for the Sith to finally defeat the Jedi. Bane sent a message to Khan that he wanted to rejoin the Brotherhood, and Khan dispatched Githany to meet Bane on the planet Ambria. There, Bane was poisoned by Synox that had been placed on Githany's lips when she kissed him. Admiring her duplicity, he wondered if he should take Githany as his apprentice, but realized her ties to the Brotherhood were too strong and sent her back to Ruusan. Meanwhile, the poison had taken effect and there was not enough of a dark side presence on Ambria for Bane to heal himself. After killing a family of scavengers, Bane was able to keep the poison at bay using the dark side energy from the murders and was eventually healed by a local man named Caleb. He then travelled to Ruusan to confront Lord Khan. Bane had seen how infighting and glory hunting had brought the Jedi and the Sith to their knees. He knew that the first army to truly unite as one would be victorious, and he eventually brought the Sith Lords together and showed them how to focus their dark side energy into a lethal blast of power that scoured the surface of Ruusan. Most of the Jedi and the Sith were utterly destroyed, but the war was far from over. Khan believed that almost all the Jedi had been destroyed and broke the energy circle that Bane had created. He led the Sith into hand-to-hand combat with the remaining Jedi, but his forces were defeated. Bane watched in disgust and then left the area. Lord Khan, driven mad by the near defeat of the Sith, led his last followers into a system of caves, and there they created a thought bomb. The thought bomb was a dark side creation that could be deployed with a clap of Khan's hands and would destroy all the Jedi and Sith not strong enough to resist it. Lord Hoth led his army of light to meet Khan's forces, and Khan released his thought bomb. The weapon absorbed all the Jedi and Sith souls into a huge black egg-like construct. Darth Bane, strong enough on the dark side of the Force to survive the thought bomb, surveyed the remains of the Ruusan War. As he travelled the land, Bane came across a young Force-sensitive girl named Xana. Bane sensed the anger within the girl and declared Xana his apprentice. The two searched the remains of the Sith camp and found a manuscript about the ancient Dark Lord Freedon Nad that had belonged to Cordus. Bane kept the manuscript and instructed Xana in the Sith code he had created, then told the girl to meet him on the planet Onderon in 2 weeks' time. Bane then left for Duxon to unlock the secrets of Freedon Nad's tomb. As he travelled to Duxon, Bane realised he was not alone aboard his vessel. Some of the spirits of the Sith who had perished when the thought bomb was activated had escaped imprisonment and had latched onto Bane. The spirit of Lord Cordus was the first to manifest, and he derided Bane for abandoning the Brotherhood. Bane dismissed Cordus, but the Dark Lord's energy destroyed the ship's controls and Bane crash-landed on Duxon. Cordus then destroyed the ship completely in an explosion. Undeterred, Bane travelled through the thick jungle and arrived at the tomb of Freedon Nad. There, the spirit of Sith Lord Khan led Bane to his next test, recovering a Sith Holocron. As Bane moved to retrieve the Holocron, obelisk mollusks fell on him and painfully attached to his body. Only his hatred and dark side power saved Bane, and the mollusks fed off of this energy and provided him with near impenetrable living armor and enhanced strength. Bane emerged from Nad's tomb ready to create a new Sith Order, including the Rule of Two, a master and an apprentice, and no more. He then managed to meet Xana on Onderon, and the two then established a base on the planet Ambria. For 10 years, Darth Bane taught his apprentice Xana the ways of the Sith, as well as his new plans and dark side techniques. Xana became a powerful Sith in her own right, and began planning the downfall of her master. Bane searched for years for ways to remove the obelisks, as well as how to construct a holocron of his own. He eventually found a solution to the latter on the planet Tython, but his victory was cut short when Xana arrived to inform Bane that the Jedi knew of their existence and were on their way to the planet to engage them in battle. Despite being outnumbered by the Jedi, the two Sith managed to gain the upper hand once their opponents attacked. Bane's obelisk armor provided an invaluable advantage in the battle, but when the Sith Lord used Force Lightning against a Jedi opponent, he found it turned back on him and the obelisks were killed. The creatures released a deadly poison in response and Bane was soon near death. Xana managed to flee with Bane and travelled to Ambrio, where she took the dying Sith Lord to the healer Caleb once more. Caleb refused to cooperate but complied when Xana promised to turn herself and Bane into the Jedi after the Sith Lord was healed. Caleb healed Bane, and days later he was free of the obelisks and cured of the poison that they had sent coursing through him. Once she knew her master was fully recovered, Xana killed Caleb. Proud of Xana, Bane told her that one day she would have the power to overthrow him and take an apprentice of her own. As Bane aged and grew weaker after years of using the dark side, and from the injuries he had sustained at the Battle of Tython, he became obsessed with learning the secret of immortality. He researched and subsequently uncovered the holocron of Darth Ndedu, the ancient Sith Lord who had managed to live for centuries. When Bane found he was unable to access Ndedu's holocron, he plunged his consciousness into it, thereby extracting the information from the device and learning the art of essence transfer. He could now transfer his spirit into another's body using the dark side of the Force. After years of remaining his faithful apprentice, Zannah learned that Bane had found Nderu's holocron and had learned the secret to immortality. Worried that her master would rule forever and would break his own rule of two, Zannah confronted Bane. She accused him of being weak and unwilling to pass on his immense knowledge to her, while Bane countered that Zannah was not worthy of the title of Dark Lord of the Sith. The two battled to a standstill, and then Bane fled and took on a new apprentice named Darth Cognis. Bane soon sent Zannah a message to meet him on Ambria for a final confrontation, and the two fought a vicious lightsaber duel. Zannah had grown stronger in the dark side of the Force than Bane realized, and she used her formidable Sith magic to beat him into submission. Sensing his defeat, Bane released his essence into Zannah in an effort to take control of her body. The two Sith Lords matched wills until Zannah emerged triumphant. The transfer ritual had destroyed Bane's body, and once Zannah expelled his will from her body, Darth Bane was no more. Zannah then took Darth Cognis as her own apprentice, and the two left Ambria to begin their rule. It's also worth noting that when Jedi Master Yoda travelled to Morroban, which is what they now call Korriban, or they used to call Korriban, during his quest for a greater understanding of the Force, he encountered the dark side spirit of Darth Bane in the Sith's tomb. However, Yoda defeated it just by simply ignoring it. Darth Bane was dead and gone and was no threat to him, and without fear to feed it, the spirit vanished. And there you have it. That is pretty much the lore on Darth Bane. So if you like if you want to know more, you should go out and buy the Darth Bane Trilogy books. They're actually really good books. I've got them myself. They're one of my favourite trilogies, and ultimately now that Disney's got Star Wars, I want them to make the Darth Bane trilogy. I reckon that'd be epic. And yeah, this is one of my longer videos, so hopefully you guys like it. I'll probably do longer ones like it in the future about specific Star Wars characters, because some of them have got too much history or lore about them that you can't put it in too short a video. So let me know what you thought of the video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to keep up to date. Let me know what you thought of the video in the comments, and I'll talk to you all on the next one. Later.